Two of the champions of Otherworldly Magic Weekend Open Series. I am Brett Banffy. I am your host, and today we have a very exciting 3 rounds, best of 5 coverage of the top 8 of our Weekend Open Series. We are kicking things off with a extremely intense battle between Zach and Oot. Oot is our reigning number 1, but has been challenged a lot lately. We see in Zach's hand a number of Fire and Blizzard spells. Let's see how he navigates this. Looks like he has his Tretier out there. That is the 4/6 with guard. These are part of the Generation 1 cards, the initial release. He gets the Pegasi out and attacks for 9. Dropping Oot to 48. This is game 1, round 1. We're watching Oot as the 2 seed against Zach as the 7 seed. Oot already manages to get his tree guard up to a 10-13. I can tell you from experience that those tree guards are extremely difficult to deal with. They do dodge all of those infernos, but the Flammy does do some very significant work there. He still has a long road ahead of him to get that tree guard out of there, but looks like he's going to ignore it. He's just going to try to race. I think that is smart. Unfortunately, that tree guard is not the easiest thing to get rid of with those Blizzard abilities or those Inferno abilities. So basically every card that's in Zach's hand right now, tree guard is immune to with that guard ability. Look forward to that new set coming out. Generation 2 of Champions of Otherworldly Magic will be launching September 21st with 18 new abilities. So we will start to see a balancing with some of these extremely powerful abilities like Guard. Will they remain powerful in this new meta? Oot down to 3 cards in hand. But at 39, he's dead to 3 hits. Important that Pegasi stays alive. The tree guard all the way up to a 10-17. And down comes the Tretier and a monkey. The monkey takes out the Pegasi. Tree guard looking to just coast all the way to the finish line here. $4.10 for the Tretier. And now the monkey. Zach just hoping for some kind of miracle here, but he does not see it because the Uga Chief is out. And that is game 1. This is Champions of Otherworldly Magic. My name is Brett Banffy. I am your host today. And we are bringing you day 2 coverage. This is the semifinals, the quarterfinals of our top 8. We watched Oot many consider to be the world #1 today. We watched him just make quick work of Zach. On 2 mana, he does play the Hydro Fang with the water ability, that Vortex, that green cloud there. That does do it an immediate 3 damage. Interesting decision there from Oot to ignore the Hydro Fang with the monkey and just go straight for the face. I'm not sure I would have done that. Flammy just trades with the Enchi, still does a lot of work at 2 mana. Now it looks like the Hydro Fang ready to take care of that monkey. And the Tretier coming down. That Tretier, again, immune to the Inferno, immune to the Blizzard abilities. It is 4 mana, and it is a 4/6. It is the card on the right there. Out comes the monkey and the Trebi from Oot. The monkey gets in for an attack of 4. And there we see a high amount of respect by Zach for Oot's Trebi. Taking his own Hydro Fang out to get rid of that. It just goes to show you the power of those guard cards. Again, that Tree Guard comes down, Zach needs to spend 2 of his cards to get rid of it. It was a Tretier and a Rogue Orser. And out comes the Uga Chief. The Uga Chief is an 8/8 with the Rush ability. The monkey comes down, trades with the Uga Chief. So again, we're seeing a lot of Zach spending 2 cards to deal with 1 of Oot's. We will see, again, the second set, Generation 2 of Champions of Otherworldly Magic, coming out September 21st on Hand Cash. If you have not gotten yourself a Hand Cash, make sure you do that. It is handcash.io. And you will not want to miss this. They will be available for purchase with debit and credit cards. We see an attack from Pegasi that survived the Scorchwing attack, and then we see Oot's second Tree Guard. Just absolutely backbreaking when you're looking at your hand full of Blizzards and Infernos that the Tree Guard is immune to. You just think, why did I even get up today? Why did I even show up to play this guy? And that Arctic King forced to come out just as an 8/8. Still a very good card as 8 power, 8 health, but can't even trade 1 for 1 with the Tree Guard. And then, of course, the Flammerai does quick work with it. And back on the same strategy, Oot really trying to protect that Tree Guard. Just trying to walk it all the way to victory here. We're seeing that an Arctifang could possibly come out. Zach really up against it here. Considering what to do, he just plays a vanilla 6/5. What are you going to do? Your opponent brought 2 Tree Guards to the battlefield today, and those cards are extremely difficult to deal with. Oh, and then Draco Inferno comes down, but leaves both the king or the Fang and the monkey. But a second Inferno cleans things up. Down comes Flammy. Needs to again take 2 cards to get rid of 1, but that tree guard's still standing out there, looming. What is in store here? We're seeing Oot really relying on these Inferno cards to deal with his opponent's creatures and his guard cards to fade his opponent's Infernos. And finally that Flammerai does come down and is able to get that Uga Chief off the battlefield. Flammy comes down though and gets rid of the Flammerai. That's a big one. And Sandstalker, it looks like it's over. So that's 2 games down for Zach. And let's check in and see, do we have a stream to follow after this?
A player has joined the table. Your game has started.
All right, so we start with game 3. Yes, this is a best of 5. Nordy comes down. He's able to get in a quick 3 after getting bloomed by the Pandora Bowl. Thank you everyone for being with us on your Sunday. My name is Brett Banffy. I'm your tournament organizer and your host with Champions TCG. Champions of Otherworldly Magic. We see a Trebby come down. And again, that Trebby can get extremely out of hand. He does have a monkey to answer it, though. And he has his own Uga Chief. That will have to come out later. But we see Zach in a much stronger position here, but ooh, that Flammy. Those Inferno cards are just brutal. Uga able to get that Tredier off the battlefield. Uga, one of our tournament staples, has been in the format since the very beginning. The early days of this game did see some unique formats because not all abilities were active. But even then, Uga was a powerhouse. It's still a powerhouse. It's played the total maximum allowable copies in almost every top 8 list that we've had since we began organizing these. I try to do some metrics on the most played cards. If you're ever looking to get some of that information, I do have it available. Just reach out to us in the Discord down there in the blue bubble, discord.gg/champions TCG. We see the Flammeray come down, not able to get either creature off the battlefield, and that's just backbreaking again. you really feel like you're up against it against Oot. You need some of those lucky breaks. And that's just how it goes sometimes, but he is able to trade the Pandorable with the Monkey, but it's just too little too late when you have to spend that second card. Tree Guard coming down, and the Pandorable. This time he does have an Ooga Chief, so it's not going to be a runaway freight train like it has been in some of the other ones, but still a very difficult card to deal with. Ooga Chief and the Pandorable does get some quick work in to that Tree Guard, but here comes the Ooga. Cleans up the Ooga Chief. And I imagine that Pandorable will be finding an early exit as well. There it is. And just like I said before, it doesn't seem like that Tree Guard is going to run away like a runaway freight train as it did in the previous game, but maybe I have spoken too soon because even at 1 HP, especially when you're immune to the Inferno effects, you're immune to the Whirlwind effects, etc., the Blizzards, that Tree Guard is just absolutely insane to deal with. It's frustrating, I guess, is the best way to put it. We are playing these as ranked matches as well, so sometimes we play free to play matches, sometimes we play ranked matches, and in the ranked matches, players have access to cards that they personally own, as opposed to in our free play events, anyone can use any cards. It's sort of like a sandbox mode. So in this, even in the sandbox mode, those tree guards are extremely frustrating. But when you are playing the ranked events and you know that that tree guard is, in some cases, several $1,000 card for a reason, but still, it does sit and linger with you a little bit longer because not everyone has access to that. Although I do think that Zach has a tree guard. He just hasn't seen it yet. So we see another Atreidier come down with the Lumino. The Lumino is the middle child in the Luminous family. Ooga Chief takes out the Lumi, the baby. And then an attack for 7. All the other cards have those Z's by the side of their faces, which indicates they must wait a full turn before attacking. That is unlike the cards like Ooga or Ooga Chief, which have the rush mechanic, allowing them to attack right away. So you'll see this Ooga Chief coming out and immediately attacking, unlike most of the other cards that do need to wait a full turn. And Zach is not dead this turn, but actually he is dead this turn, I think. Yeah. He does get one cheeky attack in, but it's over. And Oot moves on. 3 games to none. Quick work of Zach. We are seeing this Oot, as always, remaining in the top tables. Extremely focused and competitive player. A reminder to all that we are launching the second generation of this set on September 21st. If you are interested in playing Champions of Otherworldly Magic, we will have some cards available for free for you. Just join our Discord, discord.gg/championstcg, and let us know that you heard about this game, learned about us on this video broadcast with myself, Brett Banffy, your tournament organizer and your host, and that you would like to check the game out And if we could give you a couple free cards, that'd be great. We're happy to do so. Just jump on into our channel, jump on in to reach out to us on Discord and let us know that you would like to play. But again, that 21st of September, that is when the second generation of cards will be launched. Really looking forward to this. I think that a lot of work has gone into putting these cards together, building up a powerful set of brand new champions, 150 new champions, adding and expanding the roster of existing champions in creative and fun ways with unique abilities and new mechanics. So mark your calendars there, September 21st, and get ready because that is going to be available on Handcash, handcash.io. As well, you will be able to purchase your card packs with a debit or credit card. So extremely exciting, and I think potentially the first of its kind. Now we're looking at uh, our next pairings here. We will take a brief break while we flip over and review who will be playing in our semifinals matches. We know that it will be Oot, but who else will be playing? So while we are waiting and checking that out, let's flip you over to previously recorded broadcast, and we will be back with you with live coverage very briefly. My name is Brett Banffy, your host. Thank you for being with us on your Sunday. Whether for you this is morning, noon, or night, we're so thankful that you are sharing this day with us, and we'll be back in just a moment.
player has joined the table. Your game has started.
Escape.
A player has joined the table. Your game has started. player has joined the table. A player has joined the table. A player has joined the table. A player has joined. Your game has started.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. We have the semifinals action here, and we are watching Cope taking on Oot. We see Cope on turn 2, getting a monkey on board, attacking for 4, and passing back. A pass back from Oot. Likely he's trying to bait Cope into putting a second champion on the board to get that Flammy. We know Oot has so many of those. Cope wisely deciding to go with just that single monkey. It does eventually trade Pegasi on the battlefield. Trades with Oot's monkey now. The Pegasi from Cope and attack for 5. So he's getting that early initial damage in. Sometimes can be very valuable, especially in those late games. Oot has a very strong deck. Just a Trebi right now on turn 4. But he has the Enshi to pump it up with the Bloom. Pegasi now looking at the board. We haven't seen Oot with those Psybeam abilities yet, but it is certainly something he could have. But Cope just playing it safe here. Plays the Arctopaw. Gets rid of the Enchi with the Scorchwing. We see a Dracoferno come down and clean up the board. And leaves itself out there with 6 HP. Eventually able to freeze Cope with the Arctofang evolution from the Arctopaw and dropping an Uga, freezing that Dracoferno. A very powerful strategy, and I don't think I've seen too many people employing that. Scorchwing comes down, leaves the Arctofang, but it does get rid of that Uga. And then drops a Tredier. Looks like the Arctofang's able to take out that Tredier. A pass back from Cope. I believe the Dracoferno may be thawed out by now. When the Blizzard ability freezes an enemy champion, it does take 2 turns for that champion to be able to attack again. Scorchwing coming down, it gets rid of that Mecha Fly, but leaves the Uga out. Cope's still at 60. Tree Guard coming down, and I believe that was the final turn for Dracoferno to be frozen because it did not get in an attack. So now Oot is at 31. Looks like the Uga is going right for the face of Oot. Down comes the Flammy. It survives miraculously. Cope now with 6. He evolves the Uga Chief. That does draw a card. Plays the Lumi. Gets rid of that tree guard. Just goes to show you the power of that tree guard. You don't mess around when you have the ability to get rid of it, especially in a 1-for-1, or to, just without even trading a card. Even when your opponent's at 25, it can be so enticing to attack them down to 14, but with so many Inferno cards in Oot's deck, you definitely want to take the opportunity to get rid of it when you can, especially if you've done the work to do it in one turn. Now we see a pass back. Oot really up against it. He is at 25, but that can very quickly drop. And she came down, it bloomed up the Uga, back to a 6/10. Eagle-on, not seeing, could Eagle-on that Uga, but able to be redeployed very quickly. It will return it back to a 6/6, so that has some benefit and value there. Lumi really, Cope really considering attacking that Enchi, which I can understand why. Looks like he is choosing not to use the Whirlwind ability there. He just wants to leave that Enchi on the battlefield as a 3/3. Otherwise, it could have been used to bloom that Uga. And we see the Flammerai leaving the Mechadrone on the battlefield. Down comes a Flammy of Cope's own. Mechafly will get in for 6. That will drop Oot to 12. That is a 2-turn clock. So Oot is dead in 2 turns just to that Mechadrone alone. Now comes the Griffeon. It looks like considering, but maybe not. Decides to go with it and passes back. The important part about that Griffeon play is, yes, that does give an additional bloom to Oot, but it does mean that the Enchi cannot trade one straight up with that Mechadrone. Now comes the Glaciador. It looks like we are probably going to see the Sandstalker as the freeze target, the Blizzard, and that is correct. That Sandstalker is now frozen for 2 turns. We're going to see Mecha fly, and likely, oh, he doesn't use the Whirlwind ability. And we're seeing that Cope has 0 cards in hand, so Trebi, Tredier, and she was able to bloom that Uga, the Uga Chief, and an attack with the Glaciador for 4, and the attack with the Uga Chief for 8, and that is Exacxes, as they call it in the business. And again, we saw Oot with those very early aggressive plays of attacking the face, ignoring the monkey, etc. And it turned out that that was exactly what he needed, because Oot was right on the border there of starting to stabilize that board. With a lot of rush in his deck, Cope was still live, but he needed a big turn that turn, and he got it with the Uga Chief. Alright, so now we are going to watch Game 2, semifinals coverage of Champions of Otherworldly Magic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with me. I am your host, Brett Banfi. Whether this is your morning, noon, or night, thank you. We're happy to have you. We're bringing you live tournament coverage of Champions of Otherworldly Magic, and we are watching 2 of the best to ever do it. This is Cope, Craig Mason, facing off against our reigning world number 1, Oot. We see the Pandorable bloom itself and pass. Now Cope pass back. We see the blessing on the Pandorable from the baby in the Luminous family. The monkey comes down and just trades with the Lumi. So an early start for Oot and a much slower start for Cope. Now Oot, the one that's getting in those. So Oot with just a pass back on turn 3 tells me he has fire in his hand. Doesn't want to get that out of the way if he can avoid it. And he trades the Uga for the monkey and the mecha fly, and Cope plays the Lumi, the baby in the family, down as a 7-4 with its own blessing. We know that Pandorable is in Oot's hand. Cope put it back there. Now we see the monkey come down. And the monkey is considering an attack for the face or an attack directly to the Lumi, and of course it opts for the Lumi. Here we see a turn 5, an important turn 5. We know Cope has several large Inferno cards. This would be a great time for one, and he has his best one. That is the Flammic Wacken as an 8/8 for 5 mana. Comes down, does quick work of that monkey and the Enchi, and leaves himself importantly with 5 health, because Oot has a very powerful series of Inferno cards himself. At 5th HP, very important in the Inferno matchups. Looks like this Flammic Wacken just wants to trade some damage into that tree guard. We may see some kind of double attack, and that's what we see. The Pandorable that we knew was in Oot's hand is now out. Back on the battlefield, it had bloomed up that guard. And now with 2 mana left, Cope is thinking. Looks like he passes back. Oot now, still at 60, Cope still at 52, very, very much in the mid game right here. We have not seen any of Oot's fire, and maybe that is why Cope opted to save his 2 mana there. Maybe he sensed some lingering fire. We see a Scorchwing coming down, and we see a double Inferno attack, and both of Cope's Inferno champions survive their own blazes. Very, very powerful. They do get cleaned up with an opposing Flammy. Again, we knew that Oot would have some fire in his hand. It turned out he did. But now we're watching, we see that Oot with a Sandstalker on the battlefield gets busy in the red zone for 9. And what an attack. That Arctopal able to trade up directly with the Sandstalker with the Lumino, and that could be a turning point here. I'm on the edge of my seat. We see Tree Guard come down from Oot, one of the strongest cards in the game. Again, it has that guard ability, protecting it from much of the opposing champion abilities, and a blessing from Lumino. So now back to Cope with 4 cards in hand. Oot down to 2. Uga comes down. And it's going to be a double attack on that Tree Guard, and a Mechadrone to bounce back the Lumino. So again, needing to take 2 cards to deal with that one. Tredier comes down as a 4/6, and then both Lumino, a blessing, and Enchi, a blooming. Evolve it up to the 7/10. Flammy, a big Inferno, but doesn't get rid of either the Lumino or the Enchi. Cope with 8. Considering what to do here. Looks like he's going to go for that Lumino. That's probably what I would do. He may opt not to Whirlwind there. Now he has 4. And it looks like likely another opt not to Whirlwind. So we do see the lethal on board for the Tredier. We see the 6 from Mechadrone and the 4 from Mechafly. And they do survive. So a Scorchwing comes down, but it only gets rid of that. And as soon as I mention that, out comes the Flammy. And Uga drops. So we see the Uga faced off against the Tretier. You definitely would much rather have the Tretier in this position. Cope considering just a naked Scorchwing, but opts not. Cope down to 4. And it's over. Oot balances the match. Wow, that Tretier, finally they were able to go back and forth like a seesaw until eventually you saw the Tretier against the Uga, and a 7-10 Tretier. You absolutely do not want to mess with that thing. Every bit as mean as his parent tree, the full tree guard. And now we see the turn passed back to Cope. Oot, the important balancing game. Very strong.
Your game has started.
Down with turn 1, we see Cope pass back. Oot, plenty of 1-mana spells in his deck. And the additional card that comes with going second. On turn 2, Monkey comes down and gets busy. Out comes the Enchi, a very powerful 2-mana spell, becoming a tournament favorite for a lot of players. Three mana, we're seeing the Eaglon come down and take that Enchi out of the way. One of the important parts about using that Eaglon there is there aren't many cards that you want to Eaglon anyway. With so many guard cards with the Trebi and the Tretier and the Tree Guard, as well many Inferno cards. So what's left that you want to actually return? That might be the reason why the Enchi was chosen. Now on turn 4, we see a Glaciador. Freezing up that Enchi, getting an attack in for 6. And Oot has his own 4-mana play this turn. It will be an Uga. And the pass back. Looking at that Scorchwing, comes down and gets rid of those 2 champions from Oot. Very huge swing. Keeps himself around. But we see Oot with his own double Inferno. Still on 6 cards as well, with a Scorchwing that sticks around. Back to Cope on 5. 6 mana with 5 cards in hand. Very pivotal moment in the game right here. Cope taking his time to think this turn through. You see that he has 6 mana. Those are indicated, that mana with those blue lit up buttons just to the right of his name. He's down to 20 seconds though. He takes the Flammy, plays the Luminous, blesses itself up to a 9/6 and passes back. Importantly, that Lumino with its own blessing, able to tangle with a Tree Guard, or there is also Sandstalkers that we know of from Oot, as well as that Uga Chief. And he has a full grip. Oot with 7. He's managed to stabilize this board at 36 life. We do see Cope at 3 cards in hand. Down comes the Tree Guard. We know that the Lumino can handle that, but not with the Pandorable behind it. That Bloom does bring that Tree Guard's health up to 13. It makes it extremely difficult for Cope to deal with. Even a blessing, a second blessing on the Lumino will keep it just out of the Tree Guard's reach. So that's why we're seeing the Lumino get busy in the red zone for 9. 4 cards in hand. Looking at that Pandorable. Down comes the Flamigwaken. Almost. 13 seconds left. Instead, he's going with the Uga and just getting busy. Bringing Oot to 21. Again, Cope riding a double-edged sword. We see a Scorchwing come down, and it's not able to get the Lumino and the Uga off the battlefield, although it drops them both to 1. So, but a follow-up Flammerai, and they're off. So Oot again stabilizing things. Cope with 3 cards in his hand. Pandorable blooms the Flammerai up to 6. Cope now on the clock. 8 mana at his disposal. We know he has that Flamigwaken in his hand. But it does not take out that Flammerai, and it does take itself out. So we are going to see Oot with a very fast attack back. He's cracking back for 16, now 20. With Cope at 32, that is a 2-turn clock. The Arctofang not able to deal with that Tree Guard. Now the Griffeon coming down. Looks like it will take that monkey and put it back in the hand. That Lumino is now frozen, but there will still be a crack for 16 here. Flammy comes down, gets rid of the Griffeon. The Pandorable takes out the Arctofang, and we see a crack for 15. The Uga Chief adds 8, and now facing 4 very powerful attackers. Uga Chief can trade chiefs, but it's still too much. Even just the Flammerai and Lumino are a lethal attack here, and it's a pass back. That Tree Guard will be able to get in for the victory. And Oot putting Cope on the ropes and pushing it to a game 4. Oot taking the lead with Cope on the play. That play can be all important. And we see a very powerful Inferno strategy from Oot. He has the Scorchwings, he has the Flammerais, and the Flamies as well. I believe he may even have some of the larger ones. Okay, pass back to Oot on 1. No turn 1 play from Cope. See, pass back to no turn 2 play, so maybe some fire in the hand. Down comes the Lumi on 3. Eaglon, bounce your Lumi, go. Lumi comes back. Down comes Pegasi. It's gonna go for the Oot's face. That Lumi will be able to trade with either one of those, or excuse me, the Pegasi if it wants to, but it opts to go for Cope's face. And down comes the Scorchwing and cleans the board up. Now we're seeing the monkey come down, attack for 4. Mechafly bouncing the Lumi, then the Scorchwing sticking around but not getting rid of that monkey. Will be able to trade if it would like. Ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing you live tournament coverage of the Champions of Otherworldly Magic. Dracoferno comes down with its Inferno ability, wipes up that Scorchwing, monkey trades with Mechafly, go. Oot with 7 cards in hand. Such a formidable opponent. Six mana. It's a very pivotal turn in this game. Looking like monkey. Monkey attacks the Dracoferno. Uga, attack your face. I like that play. Uga Chief comes down, ignores the Uga. Attack for 6, and we see an evolution. Attack for 8. Now with 7, we see a Glaciador. This is exactly where you want to be if you're Cope. Can you push it to the game 5? Considering his options, freezes that. And we see a blessed Glaciador after freezing with the Blizzard that Uga Chief. Pass back, Oot on 7. And he is facing an attack for 19 on the Crackback. 2 mana, so he's dropped to 5. Follows up with the Flammerai. Able to get rid of most of that board. Those double Inferno attacks, so key to Oot's strategy here. Looks like he, with a Flammy from Cope. Second Inferno would likely clean the board up and attack for 4. Uga Chief comes down. This is the second Uga Chief. Attack for 12. Pass back. Cope with 2 cards in his hand. We know that Uga Chief is frozen. We see a Flammerai, but that Flammerai cannot tangle with the Uga Chief, but now it can. It was blessed by the Lumi, which does add 3 attack value. Takes down that Uga Chief. We will still see a Crackback likely for 4, but actually no, because a second Uga Chief of Oot's own comes down. Now Cope on 9 mana with 3 in hand. Trying to push this to a game 5. We are live from the semifinals of Champions of Otherworldly Magic Weekend Open Series. Watching Cope Craig Mason facing off against Oot. Down comes the Arctofang.
We see a blessing on the Arctofang and a pass back. I believe this Uga Chief will be free to attack. The left Uga Chief will be able to attack this turn. It looks like the Lumi is going to go right for the face. A very quick decision there, too, from Oot. He has 6 in hand. We were right. We did see that Uga Chief with the attack, and it takes down that Arctofang smartly. Blessed up, and the Sandstalker follows with an attack on the Lumi. We know that Uga Chief is frozen this turn and will be frozen next turn. Then we see an evolution of Lumi to the Lumino, and a bloom back up for the Sandstalker, followed by a blessing on the Pandorable. So most of Oot's cards now have been deployed. Glaciador comes down, Mechadrone to follow, and a pass back. I believe the Uga Chief is still frozen this turn, as well as the Sandstalker. So we see a Pandorable and a Lumi facing off against a Glaciador and a Lumino. We know, and a Mechadrone. We know that the Lumino is in his hand, is in Oot's hand. It was put there by Cope on the last turn, so we will be able to trade with the Mechadrone. Potentially see a crackback for at least 4. Looks like Cope opting to get an attack in first. He evolves the Lumi to the Lumino, then trades the Pandorable with the Mechadrone after receiving the blessing, and places a Tree Guard. Follows it with the Flammerai, that cleans the board up, and a bloom on the Tree Guard, and we see Cope just pass it back. No answer for this, and that is essentially a concession. Very good job. We see Oot advance to the finals. Again, Cope, an extremely formidable opponent. Let's check in with the rest of action. All right. So players have confirmed that Oot will be advancing to the final round, and it looks like Fukuchi is up. They've pushed it to game 4. Fukuchi is winning 2-1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brett Banffy. Thank you for being with us here on your Sunday. Make sure you check out the website, championstcg.com. Make sure you check out the second generation card launch. Those cards will be available on the website September 21st. A very exciting new set. A lot of work has gone into crafting this new set. 18 new abilities, 150 new champions. There are abilities like, let me read off a couple of my favorites. We have abilities like Fortify, Lightning. We have 2 new elements, I believe. One element will be Death, and the other element, I believe, is Lightning. And we see Aegis, Wildfire. We have 2 new fire abilities, Combustion and Wildfire. 1 new water ability, Tsunami. Let me tell you, if you're a fan of the Vortex strategies in Champions of Otherworldly Magic, you are going to love this Tsunami. We see a new Nature ability, that is Regrowth. We see a new Earth ability, Resilient. A new Shatter ability, one of my favorites, that is the Ice, or sorry, a new Ice ability, that is Shatter, one of my favorites. And then, yeah, the 2 new elements. So we're going from 11 elements to 13. We see Death joining the fray and Lightning joining the fray. 2 new light abilities, 2 new dark abilities, and importantly, we see 3 new normal abilities. A lot of people were looking at those normal cards and wishing that they could have been beefed up a little bit. So make sure you check back September 21st. The new cards will launch on September 21st. We're very excited for this. It is an extremely limited edition run, and I believe they will be gone very, very quickly. But folks, my name is Brett Banffy. I'm your tournament organizer and your host here at Champions TCG, discord.gg/Champions TCG. If you're learning about this card game for the first time and you want to come check it out, make sure you join our Discord. Reach out to me, Manifestable Brett Banffy. Let me know you found out about the game on our stream for our weekend tournament open series and that you would like to get some games in, see how the game action is. We'll make sure we get you a couple of cards from this second generation that is launching in 11 days, folks. 11 days this set is going to be live. So I'm going to sign off, and we will see if we have finals coverage for you. But other than that, thank you for being with us on your Sunday. If there's a stream, we will carry that for you. And very soon, with our new lobby system, we will be able to stream all games. So look forward to that. And again, thanks for being with us on your Sunday. Until then, we are going to leave you with some follow-up games and some follow-up coverage. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Right, thanks for joining. So today we're gonna get into some Champions of Otherworldly Magic. We got a tournament. Let me get my mic set up. Adjust my mic. Looks all right. Let me actually get this message out. Am I ready to go? Oh no, ready. Okay, so let me get this message out in the Discord. See if anybody else can join. And let's go. It's about to get crazy, guys. I'll be honest. Where am I? Let's go to announcements and say add everyone. Let's just copy this message and boom. Okay. Let's go like this. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. I'm just getting this ready for today's I'm actually going to send this out in a tweet. Do we have to brackets? How do I do this? I have no idea where the brackets. I don't know. Let's see, guys. Give me a moment. Where's my window here? I've got so much going on. Let's just tweet this out to the world. Magic and oops. Coon battles. That looks about right. And I will share this tweet. And let's go copy thing. Yeah, guys, hopefully you're doing all right. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. Let's do this over here. Okay. Send. Okay, cool. So let me go back to the game. There's a lot going on. I'm trying to rush into this tournament right now. I've been a little bit delayed. Tournament, you could please check in August. Okay. I think I've already checked in though. Yeah, I'm already checked in. Okay, so where's the coin flip? Yeah, guys, hopefully you're doing all right. Let's go in. I don't know what's going on. I can't seem to get my window up. Jeez. Is my stream not working? What's happening here? Guys, let me know if there's any on my side I could see him streaming, but for some reason I look at my preview and it's not streaming. So I don't know. Did you flip? Let's see. Very strange, guys. I can't seem to get my stream going, even though it says I'm streaming. Okay, there it is. It is working, but why does it show that it's not working? Strange. Very strange. Okay. All right. Let's go back. Oh no. Coin flip. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And we are following Cope against Dozen. This is the match for third place. Earlier in the day, we saw Oot advance over Cope, and we also saw Fukuchi advance across Dozen. Amazing battle. Amazing competitors. And we are watching game one of the third place match. We see Uga deployed, facing off against Dozen's Uga. And then a Flamigwaken, Dozen with those powerful Inferno abilities gets rid of the Uga, and then from Cope attacks with his own. Scorchwing takes out Flamigwaken, and then we see, leaving Uga at 1, a pass back. Cope cannot afford to just ignore that Uga, must get rid of it with his monkey, and he does so. Cope with 6 cards in hand, Dozen 2, 7. Dozen drops the Tree Guard. My name is Brett Banffy. I am with you today on your Sunday, bringing you Tournament Champions of Otherworldly Magic. See, the Griffeon deployed, does not have a target for its Whirlwind, and blessed by the Lumi, passing back. Now we see the Tree Guard able to take its choice of the Lumi or the Griffeon, or just attack Cope's face. We'll likely see an attack on the face. Glaciador comes down, freezes that Griffeon, then an attack by the monkey on the Lumi, and the Tree Guard skates through with an additional 7. Now Cope really up against it. That Tree Guard is not going to be able to be whirlwinded, not going to be able to be burned with an Inferno. Wow, what is his strategy? He sees a Flamigwaken come down, but it leaves that Glaciador, dealing it only 1. So now on 2 mana, has the Flammy, takes itself out, and just deals another 1 to the Glaciador. A very difficult set of Infernos. Lumi comes down, blesses that Tree Guard, attacks for 14. Cope down to 19, facing lethal on the crackback and 2 frozen creatures. Dracoferno gets rid of 1. Lumi able to bless the Griffeon. Next turn it could deal with the Tree Guard, but there will not be a next turn because we saw a dominant performance by Dozen. For anyone who has played Dozen, by the way, you are watching Champions TCG, championstcg.com, discord.gg/Champions TCG. And anyone who has played Dozen knows that he is no one to mess with. Neither Cope, they're both extremely gifted players, extremely powerful decks. We are using all Gen 1 cards. This is the baby launch, what I would call the pre-alpha launch of this game, with only the original 40,000 set. Very, very limited edition. We are following it up on September 21st.
Has joined the table.
With what I would consider the alpha launch of the set. Still extremely limited edition run called Generation 2, and that will be live on Handcash. If you do not have a Handcash, make sure you grab one, handcash.io, and get ready for that second generation coming out, available with credit and debit card purchases on September 21st. Dozen. Cope here on the play, so Dozen gets rid of the monkey with his own. The second generation of cards out on September 21st will have 18 new abilities, 2 new elemental types, Death and Lightning. Eaglon comes down. Cope strongly considering that attack on that Pandorable, but opts against it. Gets in 2, so Dogen down to 54. Inferno wipes the board clean with the Scorchwing, attacks for 4, and then gets the Pandorable in for an additional. Those second generation cards out on September 21st will move very, very quickly. So make sure if you are looking for the cards from the new set, you are keeping your eyes peeled for that date. They will be released on the 21st. We see a Tree Guard coming down. Uga Chief ignoring the guard, going right for the Dozen's face. And we know down comes the Arctic King, crack back for 7. Dozen really beefed up on those large Blizzard cards. We are watching the Doubleton format, no angels, no eggs, so we're seeing a lot of dirty work being done by these creatures. Cope on 7, taking his time. He's down 1 game, plays the Uga. Of course, the Uga is outmatched by that Arctic King. That was the first turn of the Chiefs being frozen. Now we see a Uga of his own from Dozen. Takes out the Arctopaw. Follows up with an attack on the opposing Uga with the King. Then a Blessing on the Tree Guard and attack for 10. So we see a very short clock here for Cope on 8 mana. We know he has a Flamigwakin, but it leaves the Arctic King out there. Very unfortunate for Cope there. Sequence of events. Those Infernos, little hit or miss. Flamigwakin of his own. Fordozen comes down. Lumi gets the Uga Chief off the battlefield. A crack back for 18. Actually, make that 21. Cope on 17, facing lethal on the crackback. Dracoferno able to get rid of some of it, but not all of it. That Flamigwakin survives. Cope extremely unlucky with his Infernos in this game, and he is going to concede. You see the pass back button with the mouse on the ready. Tree Guard up to 21 health and doesn't need to pass back. So now we see a quick 2-game victory from Dozen, but this is a best of 5, so Cope will be facing elimination for the 3rd place finish here in all 3 games coming up, if he can manage to push it to a game 5. We see Oot has advanced over Fukuchi in game 1.
A player has joined the table. Your game has started.
And again, my name is Brett Banffy. I am bringing you tournament coverage of Champions TCG. This is a new trading card game. Launched around 3 months ago. We run $50 daily events every single day, and we run $500 weekend events. They are free to enter. All events are free to enter. So make sure you check out championstcg.com, discord.gg/championstcg. Check out the game action. We are bringing you game 3 In the third place match between Cope at the bottom of your screen and Dozen at the top, Cope on the play with his 3 mana deploys a Mecha Fly. Dozen with a Lumi of his own. Lumi is the baby in the Luminous family with its own blessing. Very formidable 2-drop. Glaciador is coming down at 4. And it's going to freeze this Lumi. I'm Cope taking the time to think about it. But yes, he uses the Blizzard ability to freeze Lumi. And now we see a pass. Dozen on 8 cards in hand. Many of those cards are very strong Inferno and Blizzard cards. We're seeing a combination of that Ice and Fire strategy that Ralmond popularized in our very first tournament. Ralmond still our world number 2. Flammy coming down, leaves that Lumi again. Cope needing to go back to the well with the Inferno strategy. If he can eventually, these Infernos start falling your way when you manage to get through them. So, but it's interesting to see how he's approaching these next few turns. 10 seconds on his clock. Looks like he's going to deploy the Mecha Fly. And he will opt not to Whirlwind. He's willing to trade that Lumi with one of the Mecha Flies. Difficult position to be in, especially facing elimination here. It's been a great tournament so far. We had an exciting 5 rounds of day 1 Swiss coverage. Make sure you check that out. We do stream live to x.com and YouTube as well as Twitch. Make sure you follow our socials. Subscribe to our content. Dozen taking some time to think about how to deploy this. I believe it is turn 5, so it's just a Mecha Drone and a pass. I believe that Lumi is still frozen. Mecha Drone is the evolution of the Mecha Fly, so Yuan returns that Mecha Drone. We see Uga come down. Attacks the face. Cope strongly considering whether to attack Lumi or Dozen. Decides on Lumi. It was a difficult decision there. Of course, if you leave Lumi, it will crack that Uga back. Likely. Not a guarantee, but that seems like a likely play. Flammy comes down, and we see that the Uga survives the Inferno, but an additional Flammy comes down. And it wipes up that Uga. And she blooms itself, and now we see 9 power on the board for Dozen. And a complete cleaning of the slate. So Cope facing those very difficult Infernos, and seemingly Dozen doing the opposite. Mecha Fly comes down, bounces the Enchi. We see a double Flammy on the battlefield. Could combine to take out an Uga here. Or just one of them with that blessing, a double blessing. The Lumino and the Lumi coming down, and still with 6 cards in his hand is Dozen with a Lumi and Lumino on the battlefield. Extremely powerful strategy here. These players have been putting a lot of time and effort and work into formulating what the best strategy is here. There's a lot on the line, as this is not just playing for the cash, but also the glory, but as well there are those extremely coveted tournament skin edition cards, and there can be a drop between what is received in 3rd and 4th place. So a lot of times players are not just vying for the 50 in cash, but they want that unique skin from the tournament wins. McQuacken comes down, it deals 9 to the Glaciador, and then the Lumi cleans up the Lumino. See a Scorchwing come down. But here, Cope, running short on cards, he's down to 2 cards in his hand, to the 7 in the hand of Dozen. A competing Uga Chief on the battlefield with a blessing, a blooming from Enchi, removes the Uga Chief of his own. Then we see Arctopol coming down, so Cope on 1 card in hand. He does have a clear board though. And Dozen down to 28, facing elimination right now. Cope, Arctiking coming down, freezing that Flamigwaken. Uga gets rid of the Arctopol, and Cope needed a huge Inferno there, got half of one. The Arctiking survived. It's a pass back at 5. So wonder what that last card in Cope's hand is. Maybe it's an Uga Chief. Monkey coming down. Looks like it may trade with the Flamigwaken, or at least this is what Cope is expecting. Maybe gets the Draco Furno and then a pass back. So I believe that Flamigwaken may be frozen. Arctifang freezes the Arctiking, and now the Flamigwaken will be able to thaw. We'll see a crackback for 16, and will drop Dozen to 12. So Dozen with 5 cards in hand, Cope with 0, but sometimes 0 is enough if you can just barely manage to get your opponent down. With that very important Arctifang having frozen the Arctiking, we're seeing a massive potential swing in the tides here. For Cope to pull a game out here against Dozen, who's currently winning this match 2-0, would push this match to a game 4. Down comes Tree Guard. It's not going to be enough. A second Tree Guard and a pass back now. Importantly, all cards can attack now. Flammy gets out, takes care of the Arctiking, and those Tree Guards are going to be able to be a good defender against this Flamigwaken and the Arctiking. Neither one can go toe-to-toe with the Tree Guard. Doesn't need to though. Glaciador comes down, freezes a Flamigwaken. Cope is going to need to get lucky off the top of his deck, because we are seeing a very fast turnaround. Tree Guard, the Christmas Tree Guard takes out the Arctifang. The other Tree Guard takes out the Eaglon. Luminix comes down, blesses the normal Tree Guard, and we see a frozen Flamigwaken, 1 card in hand. It is a Pegasi, so this does give Cope some live draws now. Pegasol, Sandstalker, Uga Chief, even potentially an Uga followed by a Monkey are live draws. Also the Pegasi and the Flamigwaken do have to get dealt with. Pegasi with the Luminix. Glaciador sneaks in for Tree Guard gets 10. The Christmas Tree Guard, I believe, is not frozen. It just gets rid of that Flamagwakan. And what was the card that Cope drew? He's going to need it to be a rush card here. It was a monkey. Monkey. Is he dead on the crackback? 17, 21, 29. He is dead on the crackback. 39. So he can't attack Dozen's face. He will face lethal. He has to use that. So it gives him one turn, and I think the Sandstalker or the Uga Chief is the only cards that will do it for Cope. He's going to go to 4 and need a Uga Chief off the top of his deck. He has one card in hand. It was a Mechadrone, and that is it, ladies and gentlemen. 3-0. Dozen will win and will take third place in this exciting two-day tournament event. My name is Brett Banfi. We are live with Champions TCG. Dozen wins in 3 games, 3-0 against Cope, and that is the conclusion of our round third place match, our semifinals. Now we see Oot and Fukuchi. Fukuchi is up 2-1. And we are going to see them move to a game 4. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. My name is Brett Banfi. I am your tournament host, your organizer, and we are Champions TCG. Check it out on the website, championstcg.com. Make sure you get ready for that next set release. It is coming out September 21st. That is 11 days from now. And there is 2 new elements, 18 new abilities, 150 new champions, and you will be able to buy that through handcash.io. Handcash, using a debit and credit card. Check out the game. Let us know that you heard about the game through these tournament streams, and we will make sure that we can send you a couple cards to get started for free. The game is free to play. These tournaments are free to enter. We're so thankful and happy that you're with us. Folks, if you are a fan of American football, the season is starting today. So I want to wish you all success in your fantasy leagues. We have an ordinal fantasy league that we are running, so we'll make sure to keep you up to speed as the season progresses on how that's going. We have David K. Shrugger. We have Brandon Bryant from Handcash. We have Zach Wins from Alpha Dap. We have the Coom Lord himself. We are all going to be competing for the glory and the prizes that come with a fantasy football season. Until then, we are signing off. We are going to update you with the tournament results. Make sure you check out our Discord for those results. And thank you so much for being with us. I'm Brett. Have a great rest of your Sunday.